All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you all for joining us. Go ahead and grab your favorite beverage and let's go ahead and get started. So this is my dry aged prime brisket. You'll notice I got it for about $3.98 a pound. It's great. I'm a big fan of it. It's been sitting in my freezer for a while. You'll notice that there is a ton of marbling on it, which is awesome. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to jump right into it. So when you're looking at these guys, you're going to notice that there's a lot of hard fat on there. And the hard fat is all over the place. So what we want to go ahead and do is we want to remove that hard fat, but we still want to try to keep at least 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch of fat on that top fat. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start knocking around. Wherever it's hard, we want to go ahead and start carving the fat off. We want to get it down to the point where it feels just a little bit soft. Now you'll see here I'm taking a big chunk off, and I went ahead and I took a bit too much. And I kind of wish I could go back and do that, but this is called scalping, and scalping happens. But you'll notice at this point, I'm starting to take off tiny, thin pieces, and I'm just going over the same spot over and over and over again until I get to a point where I think it's nice and thin. Every once in a while, I'll go ahead and I'll give it a little bit of a knock. And that's what you want to try to remember when you're doing this. Taking off nice, thin pieces, just like that, will ensure that you're able to go ahead and get that 1/4 of an inch to 1/3 of an inch of coverage of fat that you can see on here. Now we're working on the top of the brisket right now, and if you look at there, you can see where the point and the flat is starting to go ahead and connect, and that's what I'm working on right now. I still want to keep a good amount of that fat sitting on top of the flat, but I need to go ahead and carve down the point, because if there's too much fat on there, it just ends up being too much when you're eating. Now this spot right here, I'm going to end up actually carving out. There's a big like triangle shaped wedge that goes in there. And you'll notice right here, this is where I start taking all of that out. And again, I just want to take little bits at a time until I get it down to a point where I've still got that 1/4 of an inch to 1/3 of an inch of fat sitting on there. And we're just about there. One more little slice. And there we go. She's just about done now. I've got exactly what I'm looking for. You'll notice with this brisket, it's got amazing marbling, which is part of the benefit to utilizing it. So I got this at Wild Fork. This is a dry aged brisket. This is USDA prime, and it has been sitting in my freezer for months. I already cooked part of the flat. I'm not really worried about that anymore. So now, once we've done most of the top and we've done that little side triangle type piece, which is where the burnt ends sit, now we're going to go ahead and continue working on it. We want to finish taking the rest of the stuff off of the top, and then we want to go towards the bottom. Now, it's pretty normal that there's going to be these big fat edge sitting down there. So what you want to go ahead and do is take your time and just whittle the fat out with nice thin slices. Again, remember, we're shooting for that 1/4 inch to 1/3 of an inch. And as soon as we're done getting all that up, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our next step. So be careful when you're doing this part. And there we go. We are done and we are ready to go. We've got our nice soft top. And these are going to be my ingredients I'm using. And these are going to be, and this is the binder I'm going to be using, just a little bit of yellow mustard. And we're going to give that a really good rubbing on both sides all over the place. That way my ingredients go ahead, or my rub, goes ahead and sits in really, really well. Make sure to get all sides. That way all sides can go ahead and accept that rub. And there we go. We're popping that rub on. And again, make sure that that rub goes into every little nook and cranny of this guy. And once you're done applying the rub, we want to let it sit for at least a half hour to an hour so that that bar can go ahead and set up and it can dry it a little bit. At the same time, we want to go ahead and take some of this leftover fat that we have, and we want to render it down, make ourselves some cracklings, and more importantly, go ahead and get ourselves some smoked beef tallow. Oh no, that's a problem. Oh, that's no, fun. Not mold. It's been a minute since I've used this, and that is a problem. Let's go ahead and get that cleaned up.
And there we go.
Everything's voila,
nice and clean,
back to normal.
Done, ready to go. Let's go ahead and get this brisket on. All right, so let's go ahead and get this in. We've got our meter with our app set up. Now this right here is some fat. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it on the back of the egg because the heat likes to cycle up from back here, hit the dome, and then go ahead and rush forward. So then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take brisket. And in sort of like an easiest way you can motion, we're going to put the thickest part towards the back so again it gets that convectional heat. We're going to let it run up to 187 degrees, and we're going to foil boat it, hit it with some of this wonderful fat while it sits in there, and then we're just going to let it keep going. So I'll come back and check on this in a few hours and let you guys know where we are. All right, so our cracklings are done. We've got our smoked beef tallow, looks great. We just went ahead and popped our brisket in our foil boat. You can see I got a little bit of liquid down there for this. I poured it in the center. I probably shouldn't have done that, but we're still gonna have good bark on here. As you can tell, it is nice and jiggly all the way around. So this is what we're kind of going for. We needed to go up another 10 degrees or another 17 degrees, and then it's done. Then we'll pull it out and we will get it on our in our holder, and we're gonna let it hold over until tomorrow afternoon around dinner time. All right, everybody, so it's been 3 hours since I put this thing on today. It's telling me right now that it is at 203 degrees. So to be frankly honest with you, it's probably nice and close. Like, look, this end right here is perfect. This right here needs a little more. This right here needs a little bit more. That's good. Oh, that's butter. That's butter. We got some butter going on here. That's okay. We're gonna let it keep going a little bit more. It's close though, man. Like that is just perfect. All right, let's give it another 20 minutes and see how she looks. All right, everybody, so it's been about half hour, 45 minutes. This is now done. This is our oil, right? This is the fat that we just went ahead and made. So what we want to do is I have a coffee filter here, a nice fancy one sitting inside a Shears Boston glass. And what I want to go ahead and do is put some of this stuff in here, like so I can start draining it. Now, I don't really want to keep all the cracklings. I really just want the oil. So I'm going to try to pour some of this stuff out like so, get it in here so that I don't have to use it anymore. But let's go ahead and get rid of some of these cracklings first. All right, so I got rid of the remaining cracklings that I didn't want anymore. That there. We're then going to go ahead and take this. And we're going to let that drain. There's our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful oil. And as soon as that's done draining, I'm going to dump the rest on there, and then I'll show you what I'll do next. All right, everybody, we're done. It's been almost 5 hours, which is great. So let's go ahead and give it a check. Oh, yeah, look at that. We are done. Now, here's the fun thing. The temp's at 211 degrees right there. And this thing's calibrated. Here's what I found out about a lot of these thermometers. This is why a lot of pitmasters don't use them. They don't tell the entire story about how the meat's going to do. Literally, this is the best tool. You poke it, and if it goes in and out really, really, really easy, just like that, you are done. So we're going to pop this guy off. We're going to pop him on here. We're going to remove the wood. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to pop it into our toaster oven, and we're going to let it rest until tomorrow at about 5. It's about 7 o'clock right now. So we're going to let it go for about 22 hours, pull it out, let it rest, and let it cool off a little bit more, and that's going to be that. I'm going to pop it at 145 degrees in my toaster oven, and that's where it's going to stay for about 45 hours. So I will check back with you guys tomorrow before we eat. All right, everybody, it's been 22 hours. The smell in my garage is just amazing. Let's go ahead and unwrap our beautiful brisket. Bark looks fantastic. Let's go ahead and glove up, pull this guy out, see how he looks. Okay, it's very gelatinous. It's very meat jello-like, so be aware of that when you're doing this. Also, don't forget, you want to save as much of that beautiful fat as you can, because you're going to end up adding it to the meat as you cut it so that you can prevent any kind of graying and or oxidation from occurring. Our bark is amazing. We're nice and jiggly. Let's go ahead and attack those burnt ends. Oh yeah, super nice. Yes, meat jelly at its finest. Okay, let's go for those burnt ends, which are going to be sitting right there. This stuff cuts so easy. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. Look at the amount of fat that's sitting in there. That is just amazing. Let's go ahead and cut up some of those burnt ends and see how they are. Oh, they cut so smooth. No issues whatsoever. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is ridiculously tender. This is why I like the toaster. Oh my God, that's amazing. That was so good. This is why I like the toaster method. Letting it sit in a toaster oven for 24 hours, 22 hours, 20 hours, just letting it rest that entire time is the secret to good brisket. If you really think about it, we made this guy on an egg at 265 for 5 hours. We got an amazing bark. We got wonderful flavor. We got great fat rendering. And then we were able to take that remaining liquid, the fats, and the waters and everything else and all the smoky flavors that were in there. We were able to let it rest overnight all the way through. And it gave us just, look at how floppy that is. And how it's just sort of falling apart. I'm barely tugging on it and it's falling apart. This is the wonderful method for using that toaster oven. This is why we like to do that. Now we got a good shot. What's it look like to go ahead and cut this? I will give you guys, I'll be extremely honest with you. I use an iron deflector in my egg, which is very sturdy and very strong and doesn't break like the ceramics, but it ends up jerking the bottom of all of my briskets. So it's kind of an issue. So when I'm cutting through it, I need to be really, really cognizant of that. But if you look here, I mean, just look at that. Just look how that pulls apart. The flavor, the smoke ring, the rendered fat, everything is just amazing. This was so good. This might be one of the better ones that I've done. Anyway, guys, if you guys like this kind of content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop a thumbs up down below. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put it down below. And as always, have a fantastic barbecue week.